credits. I mean, all of this is the agenda of the Democrats. And you saw Kamala Harris and her support of the Green New Deal. That spending is going to continue.
Maria, if she becomes a president, and recession is imminent, all right? Like baked into my forecast, I'm looking forward to a deregulatory regime, okay? Because the regulation and the energy policy are almost as much responsibility, if not more, than just the spending. Because when the price of oil skyrockets, it adds to the cost of everything. When you add so much regulation to the gears of everything, it slows down business. And now, do you believe there would somehow be less regulation or a more friendly energy policy under a President Harris? And when you add to that, straight out of the communist playbook, price controls, the next thing is food rationing. But look, we can say there would be one positive from Kamala Harris's price controls. You know what that is, Maria?
Why?
We would solve obesity in America thanks to food shortages.
Oh,
right?
my God.
This would be an unmitigated disaster. And, Harris gets called a communist and a Marxist all the time. Well, she's proving it now. Her father was literally a Marxist economics professor. This would be such an unmitigated disaster for this country, where only, the concentration of wealth would skyrocket to the top and everybody else would be left behind. This would be far worse than anything we could imagine.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the regulatory backdrop. That's really important because that's something President Trump keeps saying.
Look, this has been the case for all of these Kamala get-togethers. Normally there's some sort of big name musical performance, and once that's over, people head for the exits. So, no surprise here. And the only surprise is only 73% thought Kamala knew of Joe Biden's mental decline. It's been obvious to anybody who follows politics that from the 2016 election cycle to when he ran in 2019 to when he gave his inauguration address to now to this debate, it's been a slow, steady decline or maybe rapid decline. But I just, like a lot of the support we're seeing for Joe Biden and for Kamala, I do not believe it's real.
Well, Kayleigh.
Kayleigh just said it perfect. The way that Kamala views the world is that the sun rises and sets based on what the government wants to do. She wants the government to be the central player in every aspect of our life. And for this conversation, obviously the economy. And look, when you think about GDP as a pie, and you look at the percentage of GDP that is government, it produces nothing, right? So if you have a 5% GDP and the government is 20% of that overall pie, that means that the private sector is growing at roughly 6%. Well, then for the GDP to now grow at that same 6%, if the government becomes half the economy, that means the private sector needs to grow at 12% or double their growth. So you just push more and more effort onto the public sector to try and grow as it gets crowded out. On top of that, none of what she's proposing makes any sense whatsoever to help any of the economic woes. And these are the highlights. They're releasing what they believe is the best parts of their economic plan ahead of time. So it's only going to get worse from here. My question is, will the RNC, will members of Congress, will the Trump campaign be able to paint this picture in a world where the media acts as if Kamala Harris is this transformational candidate that just coming out of nowhere that's going to change everything for the better, when she's going to take all the worst aspects of this current administration and take them to the next level?
Well, look, Biden had $5.5 trillion of new and high escarpment. Also with us is Mike Lee this morning. Dennis, thank you for joining the conversation. Good to see you. Mike, I want to kick things off with you with this morning's moves. Stocks are mixed today after yesterday's big gains. Investors are regaining some confidence in the economy following the encouraging consumer and labor data, helping to ease recession fears. Futures right now are pointing lower. Dow Industrials down 32, the Nasdaq down 12. The Wall Street Journal writes Walmart's second quarter earnings and the July July retail sales report has U.S. consumers shrugging off recession fears. They're flocking to the retailer stores for low-cost groceries, even splurging on electronics and new cars in July. Walmart is now the S&P 500's best-performing retail stock in 2024. It's up nearly 40% year-to-date. Mike, your thoughts on Walmart?
Yeah, look, I do not think it was that spectacular of a retail sales report or a spectacular earnings report. However, just like when we go into an earnings report that's really good, but the expectations are stratospheric, the stocks sometimes don't do that well. In this situation, there was a lot of fears, especially after the recent employment reports and some other consumer names having some pretty ugly earnings reports, that Walmart was going to have a really ugly number and we were going to get a really ugly retail sales number. So I would say in this retail sales number wasn't that good if you look at the revisions from the prior months, but it was enough to quell the fears that the economy is falling off a cliff. I just don't see us materially deteriorating from where we are right here, although I do not believe the economy is as good as is talked about in the media, and I think you can see that from the leadership in the stock market over the past 18 months, or I guess 20 months now, with the Mag 7. You have a one-time thing going on there in this investment in upgrade to artificial intelligence, and the largest companies in all the indices are leading the way. I am a buyer of pretty much all 7 of those Magnificent 7 names. I think NVIDIA is going to have an unbelievable quarter this quarter based on what Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and Facebook all said the amount of money they're investing into artificial intelligence, with NVIDIA being the key beneficiary of those investments. So, look, I don't think we're falling off a cliff. I think if the election goes the wrong way in November, things could get materially worse. But for now, we're chugging along. We're going to get some liquidity from the Fed. Earnings are rising, and they're better than expectations in a lot of circumstances. So this gives the runway for much higher stock prices, considering how ugly the last couple of weeks were and how many people had to delever, and we'll now start to lever back up.
Yeah, I mean, the Walmart quarter, I mean, really is Maria. All right, Lauren, thank you so much. Mike, look, Kamala Harris had an opportunity to go to that Bitcoin conference 2 weeks ago that President Trump spoke out, and she didn't show up. And now Lauren just reporting here that she didn't show up yesterday either for the crypto town hall. What's up?
Yeah, look, this administration hates crypto, right? It represents a break from government control. They are proponents of a central bank digital currency, which, for anybody who pays attention, that is your first step to a social credit score and them controlling every aspect of your life. And what Bitcoin and a lot of cryptocurrency represents is the decentralization and the financial freedom where the government can't take things away from you. They can't destroy the value of your Bitcoin. And it's been really interesting to watch these ETFs get approved, and that even though this administration hates cryptocurrency, Larry Fink is more powerful than them. So these Bitcoin ETFs and now Ethereum got over the line. So this is a real problem because these are low propensity voters that couldn't be more enthusiastic about cryptocurrency.
What do you think, Kaylee?
I don't think it's a surprise at all that Kamala didn't bother to show up. Can you imagine Kamala trying to explain cryptocurrency without a teleprompter? There's no way. And you compare this to Trump's conversation with Elon Musk.
Yeah, look, in this administration, household net worth is up a little over 20%. But when you factor in inflation, it's only up about 3% versus the Trump administration, where it was up close to 28% net of inflation. So people have the lived experience of having Donald Trump as their president and then having this administration as their president. Inflation on a year-over-year annualized basis is coming down, but that doesn't mean the prices are going in reverse. And what we show for CPI and the way the Fed calculates calculates it, a lot of the beats come from weird things like lowering of investment management fees, not real food or energy or the way that people live. And they're out there pounding the table saying, oh, well, inflation's doing better and it's coming down. It doesn't feel like that just because us nerds on Wall Street can see things on a spreadsheet. It doesn't feel like that for the average American. It doesn't feel like that for me when I'm going to the grocery store. And then President Trump, when he was speaking with Elon Musk the other night, said it the best. The people who have done everything right their entire life are the ones that are getting punished the most with this inflation.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, and there's no reason to believe that all the spending is going to stop. I mean, the spending is the main problem, and yet they haven't acknowledged it. How do you change something that you're not even acknowledging? We're going to keep a spotlight on it.